Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make cannelloni. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that properly, or also known as manicotti. Now, what is the difference between cannelloni and manicotti? Well, my grandmother made it this way. This is my grandmother's recipe. She called it cannelloni. The Italian-American version is called Manicotti. All right, so the big gigantic conglomerate search engine out there that we all know and love describes it as this. Manicotti is the Italian-American version of cannelloni. Both are pasta tubes, but the difference between the two is fairly minimal. Manicotti tubes are rigid, large, and slightly thicker. Cannelloni tubes are smooth, a touch smaller, and slightly thinner, which I guess kind of sums it up. Now, we're going to make these, as I said, the way my grandmother made them, which is using crepes. Not a thin French crepe, but a slightly thicker Italian crepe. Okay, so now, when you take a look at all these ingredients, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. This is one of those recipes. There is a lot of little steps to them, but once you get the hang of it, you go right along, and believe me, the end result is so worth it. Okay, so we're going to need some gravy or tomato sauce. Today I'm using my vegetarian tomato sauce or red gravy. You can use, Wade will put a link on there to that particular video. You could also use the meat-flavored gravy for this recipe, which would be delicious. Or you can use your favorite jar sauce. You're going to need about 4 cups, so about 32 ounces, so get at least a 32-ounce jar. All right, for our ricotta cheese filling, we're going to need, of course, ricotta cheese, a nice whole milk ricotta cheese. This happens to be my favorite brand. Use your favorite brand. We're going to need some pecorino romano cheese. Again, get the best that you can. It really makes a difference. You want a nice aged one if possible. It is expensive, but it's delicious. We're going to need some mozzarella. We need 4 extra large eggs. We're going to need a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, a tablespoon of your favorite Italian season blend. We're going to need a pinch of nutmeg. You don't really taste that nutmeg, but it just adds that very subtle background flavor that you can't quite put your finger on what it is, but it's delicious. And we're going to need some spinach. Now, my grandmother would use 2 10-ounce packages, and she always used frozen spinach. If you want to use fresh spinach, you're certainly, you can. She always used frozen. Don't ask me why, but she did. Now, spinach is not my favorite thing in the world, so I only use 1 10-ounce package. If you like spinach, add 2 in. All right, and we're just going to let that, put it in a colander, put it over a bowl, and we're going to let that drain, and then we'll squeeze it out a little bit. Okay, so that's our filling. For our crepes, you're going to need 3 to 4 cups of flour. I've never done this without using 4 cups. I guess it kind of depends upon, the humidity and so on and so forth, but it always seems to be 4 cups to me. We'll get it to the consistency that I like it, and I'll show that to you. In this pan, I've got 3 cups of whole milk and a tablespoon of unsalted butter. And here I've got a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to throw that in there. Now, you want your milk to be warm. All right? Again, I don't know why it has to be warm. That's the way my grandmother did it. I've never tried making it with cold milk. I don't know if it would work. But again, the trick is we want it warm, okay? Now, and then, like I said, we need the flour. Then again, we need another 4 large, extra large eggs. You need a 10-inch frying pan, okay? And I have a little cup with some, a little bit of olive oil that I'll spread in the pan in between the crepes. Make sure that they taste extra delicious. Oh, and you're also going to need 2 8 by 12 casserole pans. This recipe makes quite a bit. Now you could have it if you want. Cut all the ingredients in half. It'll come out perfectly good. I like this batch because I usually will make one and then I'll freeze one. And I'm going to show you that process as we get to the one that we're going to bake, and then go over the way that I freeze it. Knock on wood, we'll be able to have some family over on the 4th of July weekend that we haven't seen. Like many of you out there haven't seen them in over a year. So I'm going to throw one in the freezer. That way I'll take it out, finish it up, and we'll have that with the rest of our barbecue. Okay, let's get cooking. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is get our cheese, ricotta cheese stuffing all mixed together. Then we can put that aside, get everything out of our way. One thing I am going to start for the crepes is I'm just going to put my pan on low and get this the milk warm. Again, we don't want the milk hot. We just want it warm because we're going to incorporate the milk in the eggs. And of course, we don't want our eggs to scribble. The kind of way I judge by it is I put my pan on low, and then as soon as I see that my butter is all melted, it's warm, I shut it off and go on to the next step. Okay, so back to our filling. So we've got our canned spinach here, our frozen spinach, and we're just going to try to wring out as much of the water as we can. I'm going to get it as dry as possible. You could do this in a tea towel or a towel if you want. I find this works pretty good. You just get it and keep your hand from getting a mess if you use a sanitary glove. And again, just want to get as much of that liquid out as we can. Like I said, spinach has never been one of my favorite things. Wade loves it. He loves cream spinach. Again, in here, this adds a little bit of color. It does add a little bit of flavor, but I actually love it in this recipe. So that's pretty good. All right, so then we'll take our spinach and just kind of crumble it in over our cheese because this is all going to get mixed together. All right. We can put this aside for now. All right, so then we've got our salt, pepper, and Italian season. Go ahead, sprinkle that over there. We need a pinch of nutmeg. So what is a pinch? Well, it's exactly that. Put your 2 fingers in, pick up a good pinch of it, sprinkle it in. So it's just a very small amount, but that is just going to give that little background note. And nutmeg is actually something that you use a lot in Italian cooking, in savory, not just bakery or baked goods. So we want to give our eggs good mixing. And we can pour that all in that bowl. Put that over there. All right, and then we can get our pecorino romano in there. Again, with both of the pecorino romano and the mozzarella, if you want to save a little bit of the mozzarella out from the pound that you put in there, go right ahead because you are going to need a little bit more to sprinkle on the top of it, but I always have shredded mozzarella, so I'm going to throw it all in. All right, I'm going to get every bit of that in there. You can give that a stir to kind of get it started. And you can see our butter is now just starting to kind of melt. Give it a few more minutes. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because, again, I do not want it to get hot. All right, so then we're going to take our nice whole milk regatta. You guys hear Sheldon meowing in the background because we're not paying attention to him, God forbid, for 10 minutes. Or he wants something. All right, so get that in. Mix that all together. And I'll pick it up. For some reason, it's easier for me to do it like this. And get that all incorporated. Okay, and that's all nicely mixed. We can put that aside for now. All right, I'm going to clean up my little mess here, move a few things out of the way, and we will come back and start on the crepes. Okay, I just want you to take a look at this. Our butter is melted. There's a little bit of steam coming off. The milk is warm. I'm going to just take it off of here, put it there for now, because I'm going to move the induction burner out of the way for now. We're going to need this again, so I'm going to just put it over here. Thought that almost fell. All right, got that. All right, so we can move our mixer over here so you can all see what we're doing. Off. Don't want that to go splatting all over the place. Again, you guys will notice I put my beater on before I plugged it in. I have this probably irrational fear that I'm gonna turn it on and put the beater on and it's gonna get caught up in my finger. Anyway, so our milk is nicely warmed. You know, see, that's just, it's warm. You don't want it to be too hot. It tastes good. Salty and milky. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get our eggs very well incorporated. So you want to get the yellows and the yolks and the whites to mix together thoroughly. Just going to grab a ladle. Turn it up a little bit. A little higher. Of course, you can use a hand mixer to do this. You can even do this with a bowl and a whisk. Okay, that's good. So then I'm going to turn that down low. Now I'm going to start to incorporate my milk in really slowly. At first. I'm sure you've all seen this done. It's called tempering. Again, we don't want to cook our eggs. give that a minute. A few seconds. So see, we're not getting any scrambled eggs. It's going in there nicely. Now, if this wasn't going to make a mess, I'd pour it all in, but, well, slowly. But we'll keep doing it with the ladle because that's the way my grandmother did it. So that's 3 cups of warm milk and 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. Butter, or from New England, butter. Again, I know this recipe looks daunting. Please make it. Either use this one or find a recipe you really like. It's just those first steps that make it seem like it's difficult. Although making crepes is difficult. I can't promise you that any of them are going to come out looking really nice because it doesn't seem to be a skill I have. But we're going to try our best. But they're going to be rolled up and have delicious sauce on them anyway. So, okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Maybe turn it up a bit, get everything mixing up in there. All right, so that's basically it. Our milk is nicely incorporated. All right, so then the next thing, again, is also kind of a slow process. You want to start to put your flour in a little bit at a time. So, of course, what the purpose with this is you want to get it to the consistency you want, and you want your flour to get all absorbed into the liquid so that you get a nice smooth batter. You don't want it as thin as French crepes would be, but you also don't want it as thick as, say, pancakes would be. Turn that up to about medium. Put another teaspoon in. And I, kind of count in my head about 30 seconds in between each one. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So I think that's going too fast. I don't like how it's starting to have a little bit of dry on the corner. Not that we can scrape that off, but. And this is just regular all-purpose flour. We've already put our salt in our milk. I talked to you guys a little while ago in one of the recipes that we did about dark shadows. This, I think, is episode 65. There's 500 episodes. I think this is episode 65, or disc 65. Julia and Barnabas are up to no good, of course. I'm a little younger than when Dark Shadows was actually on TV. I was too young to watch it. So I didn't really get into Dark Shadows till many, many years, probably about 7-8 years ago. It happened, I forgot what it was on, if it was Netflix or something, or Wade had found it and put it on in his library. And I started to watch it. And like I said, I had a friend that absolutely loved it. It played on TV 38 or Boston 38 in the 70s in reruns. By that time, it was off the air. But anyway, so I had heard about it. For some reason, I started watching it. And then going into the series, I found out that I wasn't seeing the whole series of the show. It was a soap opera on, I think it was ABC. on like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess in the late 60s, early 70s, all the kids and all the mothers are, the kids ran home from high school to watch it. It was a huge hit. But anyway, there's actually, most people don't realize that there's 2 years before Barnabas comes into the picture. And it was just kind of a gothic soap opera that revolved around this wealthy family up in way up north Massachusetts in Collinsport. But anyway, and then when I found out that there was a couple of years that I was missing, of course that sent Wade on a hunt to find those 2 years for me, and he eventually got all the 500 episodes for me and copied them on DVD, and I would just watch them over and over again, although I don't think I've ever seen the full 5 years yet. But anyway, so then a few years ago, he surprised me with a full box set, authorized in numbers and so on and so forth. So I have the whole box set in this beautiful big box coffin. Anyway, so between Dark Shadows and all of my other favorite British sitcoms, are being served upstairs, downstairs, as time goes by, The Vicar of Dibley. I watch those over and over and over again when I'm in the kitchen. And it's one of those things I've probably never really seen a full episode of any of them, but it's always in the background, and I can a lot of times almost say the dialogue verbatim along with the actors. All right, I guess that's enough of my talking. I'm going to put one more spoonful in, and I'm going to grab a scraper. Let that go in a bit. And shut it off and scrape down my bowl. Get it going again. Okay, and I'm sure that is definitely going to take our 4 cups, or right thereabouts. Let's get that in there. And I give it one more little scrape down. And we'll let the rest of that mix in. I don't think I need that anymore. And I think that's just about where we want it to be. So, kind of show you the consistency you're looking for. So you see it's going to be, it's not as thin as a French crepe. It's not as thick as pancake. All right, so the other thing you want to do is, you can see we got our spoon. All right, and then when we put a line through it, see, it should separate like that. It doesn't all come back together. That's just where we want it. So you can take your finger and it's stayed apart. Okay, that looks about good to me. All right, I'm gonna put the mixer aside, clean up a little bit, get our induction burner back, and we'll start making some crepes. See you in a bit. Okay, I've got a little bit of head start, made a few of them. So let's go through the kind of process that I've worked out with Wade's help. The best way to do this, I haven't made these in quite a while, and there is definitely a knack to making crepes. All right, so I just took a little tiny bit of, this is a nonstick pan, but I think a little bit of olive oil helps you move the crepe around a little bit, plus adds a little flavor to it. So I've kind of determined that, I want to kind of about 3/4 of a cup in there. Like I said, most average size ladles are a cup, so I got about 3/4 there. All right, so then we're going to take it and we're going to just kind of plop it down in the middle. All right, and then take the very bottom and start to spread your crepe out. Like I said, these aren't as thin. This isn't as a thin batter as a French crepe, so it's not as easy to kind of twirl it around the pan. I've tried that. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, some come out really, really perfect. Almost round, but not everyone does. Now, also, you don't want these to get super brown. You want these not to dry out, so you want them to be pliable because you're going to be rolling them. So it's just kind of just like a pancake. As you start to see it all get dried out, it's almost all dried out. We got a little bit of spot on the edge and in the middle, but that's good. I'm going to take it and give it a flip. Nothing to it. You can do it. I know you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. If I can make a crepe, you can make a crepe. And then on the other side, it really just needs a minute or two to cook up, because these, they're cooked, they're delicious, they taste delicious. I ate one of the ones that I screwed up on. But that's basically it. You can kind of give it a flip over. You can see this one's still a little bit, it looks a little wet, but that's what you want, because it is going to continue to cook in the sauce, and you want it to be pliable enough so that you can roll it without it splitting. Or that one came out perfect. That's like the perfect consistency that I want. If I could do every one like that, I would be thrilled with it. Again, just a little bit in between. We'll do, so again, about 2/3 of a cup of your batter. In it goes. And then take the ball of the ladle and just gently, you're just gently touching the top. You're not pushing down on the bottom, because if you do that, you're going to break the bottom of it. But just gently, ever so gently, spread it out. You don't have to spread it out to the entire size of the pan, but that is good. So then we're going to let that kind of dry out a little bit on the top. As soon as you kind of see the color change, the yellowish tone will turn, to that kind of just wet looking. But I've got, it's also going to depend upon what type of cooking sauce you're using, how high it is. Of course, you want to get your pan warm. Mine basically is on low. So once the pan got hot, got up to a temperature, I turned it down to relatively low. All right, so we're done. You can give that a flip. Give that a minute or two on that side. Now, depending upon how big you want them, it will depend upon how many you're going to get out of this batter. You know, I like them just about that. If you spread it out a little bit thinner, you know, to the 10-inch of the bottom of the pan, you might get a couple less crepes out of your batter. All right, so you can see, again, that looks good. Perfect. Let's turn it over. Another 30 seconds on that side. And that's good. It's pliable, thin. All right, let's do one more together. Tiny bit of olive oil on the bottom of your pan. About 2/3 a cup of your batter. Right in the middle. Try to get it all out. And then again, just with the round part of your ladle, start to spread it out even, just barely touching the surface. That looks like it's a pretty darn good one. All right, and then we're going to let that just dry out a bit. Oops, see, I hate that when that happens. I'm so glad you saw that. I'm burning myself. What I won't do for my YouTubers. This one's so thin I can't get out of there. All right, there we go. Perfect. Perfect if I do say so myself. And 3rd-degree burns. Oh well. My grandmother used to say she didn't have to worry about going to hell because she's burnt herself so much over her life cooking that God would forgive her for anything. All right, that is perfect, guys. All right, I hope that you kind of got the technique that at least I use on these. Lots of different techniques out there for you. I'm going to cook up the rest of these. No sense you having to watch me do this, and we'll be back when we get ready to roll them up. Okay, we got our crepes done. This recipe for the crepes, depending upon how thick you make them or what size pan you use, you're going to probably get anywhere, I'd say, between 25 and maybe 30, maybe a little bit more. If you stretch it out a little bit more and make them thinner, that's up to your choice, how you like it. Again, it's not hard making crepes. It's just a little bit of getting used to doing it. All right, guys? There's a crepe. We did it. You can do it too. Please, make this recipe. In between takes as we're getting things ready, Wade said, oh, you could probably buy crepes bought in the store. And I'm sure you can. And I said, yeah, but then that wouldn't be homemade. He said, yes. But anyway, I'm sure they'd be just as good. All right, now the fun part comes. Well, the fun part, then the really fun part comes after that when we get to eat them. But anyway, so we got our gravy here. All right, we're going to put down a nice little layer on the bottom of the pan. Get some flavor in the bottoms and help everything not dry out. It's spread all over. Also, in that, 4 cups, 32 ounces, that should also give you enough sauce to put on the side, because I love my sauce and I like a lot of it. So, all right, so the next part is pretty easy. We're going to take our crepe, all right, and then you can put as much filling in or as little filling in as you like. All right, I'm going to probably say it's probably a good 2 tablespoons per crepe. Maybe a little bit more. That's a little small crepe. All right, you don't want to push too far out to the sides. Now, depending on how big your crepe is or how thick you've made them, you can fold it over. My grandmother never folded them over, so I don't fold them over, but then you just want to take it and roll it up. All right, so then you're going to take your crepe and put it in your pan, put rolled side down. All right, nothing to it. I'm going to push it over, depending upon how many we can get in this pan. So again, this filling is our nice ricotta cheese, some spinach, pecorino romano, mozzarella. All right, and then you take it and roll it. Ooh, that's a nice thick one. And then we put the bottom side down. Oh, I dropped some. And again, I can't stress enough, you're making it. If you want it really stuffed well, go right ahead and stuff it well. Take it and roll it. And into the pan. We're going to get 2 big pans out of this. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you just heard that. That was the oven reaching temp. All right, so these are going to go in a 350 degree oven for anywhere between, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. I bet it's going to be about 50 minutes, but we'll see. And roll. And in the pan it goes. Oop, that's going to be a small one. That one's for Wade. Maybe not get as much filling in that because it is going to be a little smaller. All right, I'm going to just make you guys bear with me and watch me do this the last couple, because before I go on to the next pan, I want to tell you what I would do at this point to freeze them. Roll it in the pan. I think we can get at least one more in there. Maybe one on the side. We'll save that for a smaller one. Let's see, do I have a small one to put on the side? That one might work. Yeah. Do 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 do. I can stick that one right there and get one more on the edge. All right, so at this point, if you were going to freeze them, as I am, I'm going to freeze at least one pan of it. So at this point, guys, what I would do is get this last guy rolled up. All right, get him in there. Okay, so then we want to cover them with sauce. Now, you don't necessarily want them to be drowning in the sauce, but you do want them to have a nice covering of the sauce. Try to get your sauce on the edges and stuff too, so it doesn't dry out. Okay, so at this point, what I would do, I wouldn't go any further. I'm not going to cook these before I freeze them. everything is almost all cooked in here. There is a little bit of the raw egg in the batter. But so at this point, what I would do, guys, is I would take, as a matter of fact, let me do it. Oh, actually, I'm going to do it in a different pan because I've got a cover for the other one. But anyway, at this point, what I would do is I would take some saran wrap. I would, or cling wrap. Make sure that it's on there nice and tight. Throw a sheet of tinfoil over it. Make sure that's on nice and tight. This is relatively cool. If your sauce was hot, I'd let it cool down a little bit more. But other than that, you put your saran wrap, cling wrap on it, and some tinfoil. Throw it in the freezer. You're ready to go. When you take it out, when you're ready to use it, I'd take it out a day or so before, maybe 2 days before, let it thaw out in the refrigerator. And then once it was thawed and you were going to heat it up, I would then put my some mozzarella on top, circle some mozzarella on top, and the Romano, the pecorino Romano, and I'd throw it in the oven just like we're going to do with it now for another 45 to an hour till the top is nice and golden brown. So again, at this point, if you're going to freeze it, you're not going to cook it. You're going to cover it with saran wrap. You're going to put tinfoil over it. Make sure it's all as nice and tight as possible. Throw in the freezer. I mean, it should keep well in the freezer for a month or more. All right, so now we'll get this one in the oven, and then while that's baking, I'll go ahead and make the one that I'm going to freeze. So I'm going to actually finish this one up. So at this point, we got put just a little tad more sauce there. Now there's no meat in this, and with the vegetarian sauce, I guess it could be considered vegetarian. I mean, if that's a vegetarian, that as long as you eat milk, it's not vegan, but as long as you eat milk and or dairy. But so I'm going to take some additional mozzarella. I'm not going to particularly show this, but if this company wants to call me up and wants me to sponsor it, but I love this mozzarella cheese. It's a creamy melt mozzarella cheese. You may have seen it on there, but I know I've talked about this before. Sometimes on, if you buy pre-shredded mozzarella, or any kind of pre-shredded cheese, I believe they put cornstarch as a coating on it so it doesn't stick together in the bag, and then I find it doesn't really melt nice sometimes. But this company solved the problem, and I love the way this mozzarella melts. All right, so then we're going to put a little bit more of your pecorino Romano. This and Parmesan is probably two of my favorite things in the world, so I like a lot of this. Put as little as, or as much as you want. That'll be good. All right, I'm going to grab some tin foil. Oops, it fell out. We got this tin foil a while ago at what is it called? Ollie's, like Bargain Outlet or something. It's the best tin foil, except it's so hard to get out of the box and rip it. All right, so then we're gonna get this as nice and closed up as possible. And this is gonna go into the oven for, like I said, 45 to an hour. I'm gonna check it at 45 minutes. I'm sure it's gonna need at least 45. And maybe take off the cover and let it cook for another 5 without it. All right, so middle rack, 350, 45 minutes. We'll see you in a little while. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. We're gonna take a look at it. It should be where we want it to be. Close that for a minute. Oh, perfect. So our cheese is all nice and melty. Everything's bubbly. I do want to get the cheese a little bit brown, so I'm going to put it back in for 5 minutes or thereabouts. And look at that, how beautiful. Cannelloni, Manicotti. Oh, it smells good. All right, so like I said, we'll put that back in for 5 minutes or so. Let the top brown up. We'll be back when that's done. Okay, Google, stop. All right, guys, truth be told, I had it in the oven for about 2 minutes and I was getting impatient. I'm hungry. So I threw it on, I put it on broil. So it's come to a beautiful, I'm going to bring it over there, hun. So beautiful golden brown. It was on broil for about 2 minutes. And look at that. Now, if it tastes as half as good as it looks, how could you go wrong? Delicious, delicious Manicotti cannelloni. Okay, now, it's going to take every bit of willpower I have, but that really needs to cool down a little bit. You want the cheese to, you know, calm down and start to firm up a little bit, or else you're not going to be able to get out of the pan. So we're going to let it go, cool it down for at least 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then we'll be ready to eat. See you when it's dinner time. Okay, we're back. And we're ready to eat our supper. We got some nice Italian sausage. There's no meat in the cannolis. All right, dig in. Look at that, how nice it all stayed together. Yummy. What do you think?
That's delicious.
Good. That is delicious.
It is.
I do say to myself. Almost as good as my grandmother's. Not quite, but almost.
Why do you have to go to a restaurant when you have something like this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself. You know everything that's in there.
Came out really nice.
Look, good.
Good.
The crepes are so nice. It's just a nice, different thing to have there. Flavorful, they're soft, delicious. I hope you guys enjoyed watching us make this. Every time I make something like this, or something that I remember making with my grandmother, well, she mostly made it. I just watch. She occasionally let me do something, but you know, nobody could do it exactly like her. So, but it's always nice to remember her while we're cooking together, you and I. Thank you so much for watching. I hope again, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you make this. You can do it. It looks difficult. It's easy.
And it's delicious.
And it's delicious. Thank you so much for watching.
Yep. Thumbs up, like,
subscribe, all of the good things.
And cherryhillhomecooking.com.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.
It's delicious.
Came out perfect.
It really is better than any restaurant. Love it.